Hello and welcome. This month on Skul Bilong Yu, we bring you stories regarding the high illiteracy rate in the country, the tuition fee-free policy, a new initiative by the Buk Bilong Pikinini Libraries and the NRL-League Bilong Laif program, and much more. Now to begin the program, we will look at illiteracy in the country. Papua New Guinea's high illiteracy rate is not a new issue in the country. Over the years, it remained one of the government's items for discussions. Many say, in order to achieve tangible developments, PNG needs to educate both children and adults to read and write. EMTV Laif's Edwin Fidelis with this story.
According to Papua New Guinea government statistics, a contributing factor towards PNG's slow national growth is the high illiteracy rate amongst the population. Census estimates suggest that more than half of PNG's 7 million people can't read or write. Much of the support towards addressing PNG's illiteracy rate is coming from non-government organizations. They kept reminding us about how bad our illiteracy rate is. One such is the Buk Bilong Pikinini Library, a charity organization set up to assist disadvantaged children. This might seem like a small event, but it is a significant one. The event marks the launching of 2 storybooks authored by children as young as 4 years old who go to school at Buk Bilong Pikinini Library at Tatana village in Port Moresby.
Here is a woman in a
For Vagi Kariko, a ed librarian, every day she spent teaching children the basics of reading and writing is always rewarding.
Literacy in Papua New Guinea is very high. Just thinking back to the old times, we had libraries in our schools, but now we don't have much libraries in our schools. That's why our literacy number went really low. So we are trying to make it high, and we are struggling to do it with the children who are 4, 5, and 6 years old, so that they can read as early as possible.
And Sophie Eman, the founder of Buk Bilong Pikinini, began establishing children's libraries all over the country about 7 years ago. She began the move after realizing that a significant portion of children doesn't understand the English language. She believes educating children at a younger age will help address Papua New Guinea's high illiteracy rate.
For us, this is our most fundamental issue, is to try to address literacy, because if you want a strong country, a strong economy, everyone needs to contribute. So if more than half the population is illiterate, obviously that half cannot look after themselves because they don't know how to follow health advice. You know, they may not have employment opportunities because they are illiterate. So what we try to do is go in at the age where children are the most curious and, you know, the most prone to learning, which is the very young, early reading age.
The blame has been leveled against various education reforms introduced by the government between the mid-1990s and early year 2000. The education reform fueled a growing decline in the education standards in Papua New Guinea. Earlier this month, teachers from Laif district schools gathered to discuss issues affecting students' learning in their schools.
The trend in which our students are engaging themselves, they're used to mobile phones most of the times. Even they don't have reading books in the classrooms, even as I speak, in their homes. We as stakeholders, parents, whoever who's got the task of having to make sure that kids are literate, kids speak a good command of English, is something that we are doing now to enhance that.
This is one of the events organized by the Laif district that seeks to find the right approach to teach children. The outcome of the gathering found out that students still face difficulty in basic comprehension.
I support the standard-based curriculum, which the Education Department is undertaking, because there is a revised version of how we could, for example, speaking and listening, if we have to introduce into the new curriculum, SBC, this is the way forward. If we have to give a lot more time for speaking and listening and reading and memorizing, recalling, these are some of the things that have been missing. Now, I think if we embrace that, I'm pretty sure our country will go to the next level.
While the government focuses on pumping money into the country's higher education experts say it should also consider early childhood education and adult literacy. As PNG's economy grows, different sets of classes are emerging. Those who have the money send their children to schools, while those who don't have these conveniences remove their children from the formal education system. But the problem becomes more difficult as they grow older. Moresa Kepas is an adult literacy teacher in Morobe for 6 years. She began teaching adult literacy courses in a church after realizing that many men and women who go to church on Sundays can't read their Bibles. She gets no direct funding from the government to operate the school. Each member of the church contributes 5 kina to pay for the printing cost of these booklets.
Side lo lapun, asa mi film hard lo books too, and me buy me. Na mi bin film hard lo finance, lo buy books, but me go na me ask him all suppose you play true you play like him read okay, you play bungi money, so all give 5 kina. Na mi bin bungi wante money blow me, na mi play bin buy book, na mi school him all.
She says the demand for teaching adult literacy courses is high, as many adults go through life without learning how to read and write. Lucy Joe is a success story of the adult literacy school run by Moresa at Lace Nawai block. She is a grandmother and hasn't been to school at an early age, but the adult literacy courses run by Moresa have given her a new lease on life.
Me looking planted time me go sit down and share them. Some was opening book, now she read. Now me say I got angry blood. This la reading books I start life do me. So me go grade 1 and me no been finish school blow me. Na me lose more same. Na mi stop go na mi come married. Mi stop me no sabe lo 1% to me no bin sabe lo read to.
Time school mall, firstly mi soy mall mi go through lo display. Time mi go through lo display. Mi looking mo se mall go through now. So time mi lusim display mi come lo here. Okay, mi come lo here na time mi looking mo se inside lo 1 week. Also I finish lo read now. So go lo 2 I'm all read now. So me been give this la book lo read na write. Same this la. Na time me go through lo school mall and big la head pen too. Is a big la man Mary na head pen lo school mall is like kind big la man Mary.
In 2002, the PNG government introduced the free education policy, an approach taken at the national level in an attempt to quell the country's high illiteracy rate. From the 2015 national budget ended down in November last year, 1.9 billion kina was pumped into the education sector. While this is seen as a positive move to lower PNG's high illiteracy rate, the question over its success still lingers.
Early this month, the Minister for Education, Honorable Nick Kuman, held a press conference to provide clarifications on the issue of tuition fee free, also known as the TFF policy. Have a look.
Increasing attendance in schools has been a key challenge for successive Papua New Guinean governments since the colonial period. While universal primary education was a colonial government policy, not everybody had access to education. 6 years after independence, Papua New Guinea made its first attempt to significantly boost student numbers by introducing a fee-free education policy. Previous attempts to implement fee-free education policies were cut short by changed political circumstances. This has made the current TFF policy the longest-running free education policy in Papua New Guinea's history. The TFF policy is designed to increase levels of basic education by reducing the financial burden of tuition fees on parents sending their children to school. According to Department of Education Tuition Fee-Free Policy Management Manual, parents and guardians have responsibilities and roles to ensure that their children attend school, provide food and uniforms for their children, provide all the necessary physical and psychological support to enable the children to actively participate in school learning activities, provide security and transport for the children, actively engage in school's affairs and especially parents and citizens meetings, all the head teaching and board of management to account for development of the school for quality education and transparent financial management. Earlier this month, Teachers Association told a news conference that schools would be closed because their funds had not been paid. This has come as an embarrassment to a government that has promoted the tuition fee-free policy as one of its key pillars. On the 9th April 2015, during a media conference, Education Minister Nick Kuman clarified issues with regards to the implementation of the tuition fee-free policy. Since 2012, Minister Kuman stated that TFF funding has totaled nearly 2 billion kina. Minister Kuman said that TFF is paid to all approved operating schools in the national education system, including permitted schools, flexible open and distance education, and inclusive education institutions, except technical colleges and teachers' colleges.
Application and implementation of TFF policy is consistent since 2012. And as a responsible government agency, the Department of Education is obliged to ensure that all eligible schools receive their full money in terms of school fees, full, and I mean 100%. That's the only way for us to give accessibility to our kids in this country.
Mr. Kuman emphasized his department's concerns on the management and utilization of TFF funds.
We did audits to all the, School of Excellence. And the School of Excellence audit has been completed. And we will also extend that audit into all the high schools and the secondary schools and technical training colleges and where they receive government funding. And all to some schools at the lower level system of education, particularly the primary, where we suspect through the activities of their account, we will do random checks in those schools as well, just to make sure that not only that the department is checked, but we want to make sure that the end users of this money are used for the purpose intended for.
Minister Kuman said that the government pays every student an allocation based on the fee limit set by the National Education Board. Because of lateness in availability of complete current year data from schools, the Department of Education pays schools based on the previous year's school census enrollment data. The minister emphasized that the Department of Education is accountable for the payment of TFF and therefore has 4 minimum standards to guide payments in order for schools to be paid on time.
Registered schools must have a bank account. That's compulsory. Number 2 is that if there's a school, there must be a teacher in that school. We only identify through Alaska payroll system. Number 3 is that school has, some school has, for the last 2 years, and I'm referring to 2013 and 14, they have not provided up-to-date census. Although it is a prerequisite for us to disperse TFF money into their schools. So if we don't provide giving us the enrollment figures at the conclusion of the previous year's academic year, then there's something wrong. You can't blame the Department of Education for fixing a figure and giving us the TFF money. We can't do that. We based on the actuals that you give it to us. So that's the onus goes back to the school.
The Department of Education Tuition Fee-Free Policy Management Manual outlined items which the TFF fund must not be spent on: mobile phones and laptops, school breakup parties, payments of bride price, payments of compensations, hire vehicles, personal loans, illegal money schemes, gambling, new or second-hand vehicles, any expenditure that will not benefit teaching and learning programs at the school.
Hello again. We'll continue with the Minister's clarifications on TFF.
Since I came into the ministry,
the current O'Neill Dion government has taken care of parents and guardians' financial burden of children's school fees through the implementation of the tuition fee-free policy. Why is it that most schools still charge parents with project fees and other suggested costs? Why are schools complaining that they still had not received their full TFF funds? Questions like these are still being asked. The Education Minister at the press conference on the 9th of April 2015 said the national government budget appropriation provides the TFF funding to the Department of Education through the Treasury and Finance departments in two parts.
Every school is paid TFF, and they are paid in two parts. The first 50% is paid to cater for term 1 and term 2. The second part is paid in the beginning of term 3, which takes us right to the end of the year.
Minister Kuman stressed on the 2015 TFF status report that the Department of Education received a total budgetary of 605 million from the national government and requested 303 million as the first part funding of TFF from the Department of Treasury beginning of 2015.
And only last week we got the balance of 50 million kina, a shortfall of 11 million of the 303 million that we're supposed to get. So 185,402,777 kina was paid out on the 17th of February this year. And that represents 70% of what is to be given to the school system right through the country for the first 2 terms. So we've got a balance of 98 million kina to pay. All the claims were all processed, have gone to the bank, and by next week, all those money will be in the accounts for all the schools in the country.
As stated by Minister Kuman, it is believed that by now, the balance Department of Education holds in its account for TFF funding is 4.3 million. This is apart from the 11 million yet to be warranted to make up the first part TFF funding of 303 million kina. The minister further stated that the remaining balance will be used to pay schools that have been underpaid in the first payment or have missed out due to not fulfilling the 4 minimum standards. Minister Kuman assured the people of Papua New Guinea that the government is committed and will ensure that all schools receive the 2015 TFF funding. He also reminded school boards and administrations that they must manage the TFF funds wisely to ensure that quality education is given to the children. Minister Kuman stated that summary of the payments to schools will be made available on the Department of Education website at www.education.gov.pg if the public and interested stakeholders wish to view.
As a department, I do agree that since 2012 we've seen a serious growth in terms of enrollment. It's not about only TFF. You will see that there will be shortage of classrooms. You will see that there will be shortage of teachers' houses. These are direct government, other direct interventions that we are now working on to address the teachers' houses. We are addressing the classrooms. We are also addressing making sure that there's resources available for the students and teachers. And we also making sure that a lot more teachers are trained now than ever before, so that we get the student-teacher ratio down. And our attempt now is to ensure that we get a quality education at the end of the day.
Welcome back. Some schools around the country have gone through mock drills or specific procedures in preparations for natural disasters. Here are some highlights of an earthquake mock drill at a primary school in the nation's capital. Papua New Guinea lies on the Pacific Ring of Fire, which makes it vulnerable to natural disasters. Landslides, flood, volcanic eruptions, tidal waves and earthquakes, you name it, PNG has it. Many a time, these natural disasters cause long-term destructions, such as the closure of business houses, roads and bridges, and even schools. To prepare teachers and students to respond to disasters, UNICEF is working alongside the Education Department by providing various approaches. Apart from supplying schools around the country with the emergency kits, UNICEF has also visited schools to provide mock drill exercises to help teachers and students prepare for natural disasters.
This program is a great opportunity to teach students the importance of preparedness for emergencies. What we know about emergencies is if you're ready and you know what to do, then it gets much better. And so here was a drill that told students first to evacuate, and then how to look for those who were injured and what we needed to do. And it was a great drill. They've done a series of tests, I don't know the exact number, but we've done it in a couple of different provinces, trying to make sure that schools are ready for emergencies. It could be an earthquake like we saw today, it could be a flood, it could be landslides. There are many emergencies here in Papua New Guinea. And so UNICEF wants to support so that school children aren't harmed, that they know about emergencies and they're prepared.
The Word Strip Demonstration Primary School in the nation's capital was one of those many schools that have gone through the different procedures that should be followed whenever an earthquake strikes. A trained emergency response team demonstrated how quick and alerted they would respond to assist staff and students who might be wounded during or after the disasters. The whole student body and other staff members observed while a few students and staff helped the response team with the demonstrations. The mock drill went on for almost an hour and ended with a few speeches by the regional director for UNICEF.
And I'm sure the ministry will help you get that. So that's fantastic. Congratulations on the good work.
And the Education Secretary, Dr. Michael Tapu.
And I'm very thankful on behalf of our teachers. I hope our teachers during in service will get some more drills and understand. And I hope also, while the UNICEF director is here, I hope this school should be given enough resources because they're a big school. They're a big school. And if it needs to, for the Department of Education to help complement the cost for this school, I hope this will happen now that it's in the school so that starting this year, you should get the disaster kits and all that so that you can know what to do.
A new program has been developed by the Buk Bilong Pikinini Library and its new partner, the NRL-League Bilong Laif, for children between 4 to 6 years old. The aim of this program is to help these children understand the importance of education through the love of learning and reading and embracing a healthy lifestyle. Watch next. While children nowadays are increasingly getting addicted to modern technology by spending most of their free time surfing the internet, listening to music on their mobile phones, and sending text messages, some are eager to learn how to read a book or spell a word even at a very young age. Fortunately, such children and those that are living in remote communities where access to basic education may be a challenge can benefit from one of the 17 Buk Bilong Pikinini Libraries around the country. The Buk Bilong Pikinini, or Books for Children, is an independent, non-profit organization established in 2007 with an aim to establish children's libraries and create a love for reading and learning.
Okay, Buk Bilong Pikinini started off with a box of books. It was started by Anne-Sophie Herman, who is the wife of the former Australian High Commissioner to Papua New Guinea. So she brought a box of books to the Children's HIV, TB and Malnutrition Ward at Port Moresby General Hospital, started reading with the kids over there. We got some corporate interest, and from there we now have 16 libraries across the country, all running early childhood literacy programs. All of our books come from Australia. They are second-hand, gently used books that are donated, but we are looking to source more locally produced books that are more culturally appropriate for the children of Papua New Guinea.
Buk Bilong Pikinini Libraries run two special programs for both 4 to 6 year olds and elementary and primary school students. Since its establishment, all its reading books are donations from Australia. However, soon books will be created locally.
Buk Bilong Pikinini is lucky enough to enjoy the support of a number of corporate sponsors and sponsors from government agencies, but our main donors are the Australian government through SPSN, World Vision, Bank of South Pacific, Hastings Deering, Express Freight Management, CFAST, Airways and Steamships. We run two main programs. So in the mornings between 8 and 12, we run our early childhood literacy program. That program is designed for children between the ages of 4 and 6, and it's designed to teach them how to read and write before they go on to elementary school. We have quite a robust enrollment process as well to ensure that we target the most vulnerable children and that we're providing that service to those children in the nearby communities. In the afternoon, we're open from 1 to 4, and that's an afternoon school support program. So children enrolled in elementary and primary schools can come to our libraries for extra support and access to resources in the afternoons.
For the first time, Buk Bilong Pikinini and another organization that is funded by the Australian government and managed by the NRL-League Bilong Laif program hosted a children's program called Holiday Clinics for children between the ages of 4 to 6 years on the 16th of this month.
Our program is called League Bilong Laif. It's funded by the Australian government, and we go to schools here in PNG to run our programs, teaching little kids how to play rugby league. But we use rugby as a tool to drive our two key messages, which is respect and the importance of education. Most importantly, we are here to teach them about respect for themselves, for others, and for the environment, and also the importance of coming to school and being able to read and write, the importance of those two things. But we were using rugby league to drive these two key messages.
More than 50 children attended the event and were assisted by the Buk Bilong Pikinini and the NRL-League Bilong Laif staff. The children enjoyed activities such as reading stations, spelling activities that were incorporated into fun games and much more.
We're here today to trial a partnership between the League Bilong Laif program, which is in primary schools and has educational outcomes. We use NRL models and activities, rugby league activities and rugby league educational resources to encourage children to know the importance of education and respect. And we try to communicate to them these ideals so that they can be better community members and citizens of Papua New Guinea, make better life decisions for themselves.
Buk Bilong Pikinini and the NRL-League Bilong Laif will extend this program to the other parts of the country so that children can benefit from the two important components of a healthy and happy lifestyle.
Buk Bilong Pikinini is a program that's been running very successfully. It also is focused on education. It has libraries all over the country. It has a very strong program and a strong structure, and today was all about the two programs coming together and mixing sport, rugby league, and education and reading particularly, and encouraging kids to continue their reading and also get out and be active in sport. Because both programs have very similar outcomes, we thought it might be a good match for both organisations to do things together. So we're here to trial holiday programs. So based on today's outcomes, which have been very successful and we're very happy with, we will be looking to formalise a partnership so that League Bilong Laif and Buk Bilong Pikinini can have holiday clinics all around the country, stationed at Buk Bilong Pikinini Libraries, and we, the NRL team, will in PNG will then come on those holiday clinics and mix reading activities with the NRL resources that we have and rugby league activities, fun activities, so the kids can all have fun.
Buk Bilong Pikinini is also happy to work in partnership with the NRL-League Bilong Laif program. If you have just joined us, you're watching Skul Bilong Yu. While some students have spent their school holidays at home doing other activities, some have been attending an educational program initiated by the National Museum.
Everybody loves holidays. It is a time for relaxation, fun and games. For Papua New Guinean school-age students, term holidays provide a change in routine and more time for extracurricular activities. Time away from the demands of the classroom can be a positive experience for some children and boring for others. Children who are left unattended during school breaks can also get involved in troublemaking activities. Hence, involving them in constructive activities keeps them at bay. 60 students from 4 different schools in Port Moresby in the nation's capital spent their Term 1 break at the National Museum and Art Gallery. The children were taking part in a Spellet Muse competition from April 13 to 17 this year, 2015. The Spellet Muse competition promotes awareness about the role the National Museum and Art Gallery National Collections plays in inspiring learning about diverse cultures. The program provides access to and enhances student and visitors' understanding of the subject matters in the collection. Groups were formed which comprised of students from different schools. They were encouraged to think together, consult and compete with their other friends in the competition. This helped the students to socially interact with one another, to learn from each other, and most importantly, to unite and build a good relationship between schools.
We conduct our school holiday program every end of each term. Okay, and like for this year, we have the first term school holiday program, which is the Spell at Muse. Students were invited. We sent out invitation letters to schools for the interested students to come in for the participation of the program.
Museum education is about developing and disseminating innovative educational programs and activities for school children and adults. Creating programs and activities that are challenging, entertaining, fun and enjoyable, and managed by the staff of the National Museum.
We call this education program as Spell at Muse. Muse in spelling museum words, which simply means that we identify words that are related to our collections and ask kids to really understand those words. But in a way, it is when they understand a word, they sort of understand their identity, whether it is form and so on. So if we are introducing a word that talks about our past, they know that Sunda and Sa will come into mind. Or our ancestors who came from Southeast Asia may have crossed the Wallis Divine and came to Sundaland and that kind of thing. We believe our past is also taught in primary schools, where the program is pitch step from grade 6 to 8, and the words we have selected are also taught in their schools.
The museum initiated the educational program for the students in 2012, whose main objective is to build vocabulary for young people using museum words. The Spell at Muse competition was conducted for 4 days amongst 4 schools. Coronation Primary had the largest number of students. This was followed by Garu Primary, Christ the King Primary and Kopkop College. Though many students were interested to participate, they were turned down because of the space capacity, which can only accommodate 60 students. In previous years, teachers were only observers while the National Museum staff facilitated the competition. This year, teachers were asked to act as facilitators. 5 teachers, 2 from Garu Primary School and 3 from Coronation, including the head teacher, participated in the competition.
My point of view as the facilitator for today, and from the various activities throughout the week, I observed that from just the 2 schools that I attended, that's Coronation Primary School and Garu Primary School, I noticed that our children are having difficulties with spelling very simple words. Some of them do not even know the definition of various words that were called out for them to spell. So all in all, I saw it as a challenge. Also, there were new teaching strategies that were also introduced.
The students who participated were full of enthusiasm and showed much interest in the program, as it had given them the confidence and courage to partake in the competition.
All students who is out there and feeling shy to show their talents, I want to advise you all that stop feeling nervous about these kinds of school program. I want you all to show how talented and clever you all are.
They didn't want it to be exactly like a competition, so they mixed us up so that we can socialize with the other schools.
The program ended with the presentation of certificates to the students who took part in the competition. Medals to the winning groups were handed out. And gifts to the teachers of the respective schools were given by the executives from the National Museum. The program will resume again in Term 2 holidays at the National Museum and Art Gallery during the 2015 Pacific Games. The museum staff have extended their invitation to students who will be in Port Moresby for the Pacific Games to visit the National Museum and participate in the next Spell at Muse competition.
2015? Yay!
Before we go, let's take a quick look at a few highlights of recent happenings within the education sector. And that's all we have for this edition of Skul Bilong Yu. If you wish to view this episode once more, you can log on to our website www.emtv.com.pg. For any comments, suggestions or queries, feel free to post on our Facebook page or email us on the address now showing on your screen. For now, enjoy the rest of your viewing. Good night.